Hey boys and girls, it's Bree here with another wacky fact of the day. Did you know that there are 2,000 thunderstorms that happen every second on Earth? Mind blowing. I had no idea there were 2,000 thunderstorms on Earth every second. That is wacky.
Dance party.
Today's Bible lesson will be about Esther, and we are about to learn all the wonderful things that God allowed her to do. So in the land, there was this king, and he was a Persian king, and he wanted to find a new wife. And so within all the land, he said, I'm gonna throw a beauty pageant. And that's exactly what he did. And all the women came out from the whole town, and they came to the party, kind of like what we would think was like a ball. And they came to the party, and the king, he picked his wife. And it was Esther. She was the most beautiful one, and he picked her. Now, one thing that we do know about Esther that the king did not know at the time is that Esther was a Jew. And Jews, they weren't allowed to really associate with other people like Persians or Gentiles or other people from the Bible. And so they were left out a lot, and they were bullied a lot as well. And so Esther had to keep this secret in because the Persian king chose her, but she couldn't tell anyone that she was a Jew. She couldn't tell anyone of her faith. And so what happened is everything's normal, no one knows, nothing like that. But what you don't know is there was the king's right-hand man, and his name was Haman. And he was not a nice man. And one day, he knew his position so well. He said, I'm right here on the king's right hand, and so I've gained all this power. I deserve for everyone to bow to me. I have all this power, so I deserve that. And so he went into one of the towns, and there was one person that refused to bow to him, and his name was Mordecai. And Mordecai, how it all connects is Mordecai was Esther's older cousin who had taken her in to take care of her when her parents died when she was young. And Mordecai, he didn't bow. And so that angered Haman, angered him so much. And so Haman, he was just so full of anger, and he made a decision, and he said, you know what? All the Jews should be killed because he won't bow to me. They should all be done. And he went to the king. And now, remember, the king doesn't know who Esther is, don't even know that she's really even connected to her cousin Mordecai. And so Haman goes to the king and says, the Jews, this one Jew won't bow down to me. We need to send out a decree to kill them all, to annihilate the Jews. Very, very mean and angry. And the king said, okay, I trust you. The king didn't know, right? And so Mordecai found a way to get a hold of Esther. Said, Esther, you have to ask the king to lift this. You have to ask the king to lift this. They can't kill our people. They can't kill our people. And Esther, she's kind of like in the middle of it. She's like, man, I don't know what to do. Do I stand up for my people, or do I remain quiet and scared? So she decided to stand up for her people. And that took a lot of guts and a lot of courage of Esther. So what she did is she went into the king. Now, before I get way into this, back in those days, you couldn't just walk up to a king and approach him, even if you were his wife. And so Esther had to be very careful. So she walked in slowly and approached the king and asked if she could ask of something. And he was frustrated at first, but he was like, okay, what would you like, Esther? She said, I just want to have dinner with you and Haman. And so he was like, okay. And she was like, and then I'll tell you my request. And so they have this big cool party, and there's lots of food and snacks, and they get there, and then Esther doesn't ask, and doesn't ask for him to save her people, and she doesn't ask there. So the king says, Esther, are you gonna say your request now? And she said, well, I was going to, but I'll tell you if we can have another party. If we can have another party tomorrow night, then I'll make my request known. So the king and Haman, they were excited. They were like, yeah, absolutely, let's do it. Now, at this time, Haman had seen Mordecai at the city gates. And it reminded Haman that Mordecai didn't bow down to him. And so Haman got very, very angry. And he set out an appointment that Mordecai be killed. And it was so, so sad. But that same night, the king, whenever he was getting ready for bed, decided to go through some old books and just remember his time as king and remember the things of his people. And so he came across this one time that Mordecai actually came and warned the king's people that there was someone trying to kill the king. And that made the king so happy and so excited. But remember, Haman had already put out a plot to try and kill Mordecai. So these two things are happening in the same night. Well, the next day, Haman came to speak with the king, and the king said, Haman, what do you think I should do for someone who has just been great and who has just really tried to protect and just be a great man? What do you think we should do? You know, Haman, he thought that the king was talking about him, so he started saying all these lavish things, like maybe in our day and time, it'd be like, I think you should buy him a sports car and a big house, and I think you should buy him this and this, because the whole time, Haman is thinking that the king is asking about himself, Haman. And so he started saying these things, and he said, you know what? I think that he should be put on a horse and be wrapped in a robe and a crown put on his head and paraded through the city as someone celebrated by the king. And so the king said, okay, let's do it. You're gonna do this for Mordecai. And Haman's jaw dropped, and he didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to do. And so that night, they had the party with Esther. And Esther, they ate and they were merry, and she finally brought the request to the king. She laid it all out, and she said, King, I'm actually a Jew, and I need you to save my people. Now, in all of the time, if anyone was to approach the king, it was inappropriate, it wasn't right. They would get in trouble for that. But now, on top of that, she has done that, and she's a Jew. She has two whammies against her in the king's eyes. But she had enough courage and enough bravery down deep inside of her to say, you know what? I am gonna stand up for my faith, for what I believe in, and I am gonna live out my purpose. And you know what, boys and girls? Just like Esther was brave and courageous and stood up for what she believed in, man, you are the same way. You are brave, you're courageous, you're smart, you're full of goodness all deep down inside of you. And I promise you, if you trust the things of God, God will protect you just like he did Esther. And I promise you that if you hold on to those things, man, your purpose in life will be mega, mega big through God.
Are you ready for game time?
For this game, you're going to need plastic cups and a bowl of ping pong balls. You will have 60 seconds to build your cups like this. And every time you put a ball in, you're gonna put a cup in. And you have 60 seconds to try to get it as high as you can without dropping any of the cups. So let's see how high we can get them. And that's how you play the game. Hey boys and girls, for this game called Sticky Situation, you're gonna need a few things. So you need peanut butter, a piece of bread, and of course, ping pong balls. The object of the game is this. You're going to want to put peanut butter all over your piece of bread and put it kind of far away from you, and then grab a ping pong ball. You're gonna throw it from here, and it's going to land right here on the bread. The object of the game is to get as many ping pong balls as you can on your sticky bread in under 60 seconds. If you play with someone, it's even a greater competition, so let's go. It's time for crafts. So today we are going to be making a work of art. And what you'll need to make this happen is a box of crayons. You'll need masking tape, one ruler, a marker. You'll need your canvas and a hot glue gun. So let's get started. The first thing you'll want to do is get your canvas, and you'll want to take your masking tape and you're going to pull a big enough piece to where it'll cover the area that you don't want to get any color on. The next step you'll want to do is you'll want to take your crayons, you can pick whatever colors you like, and you'll just hot glue them down in a straight line across your canvas with adult supervision. And once you have all of your crayons on your canvas and your tape down, your next step, you will definitely need a hairdryer for this. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna plug it in, and of course with adult supervision, you're gonna wanna put your canvas kind of at like a tilt and then turn it on, and you're gonna just melt all your colors on your canvas. So after you melted all of your crayons onto your canvas and you let it dry, you're gonna remove the piece of tape that you put there before you started messing with your crayons. And you can just throw it away because you won't need it again, okay? The next thing you're gonna wanna do is we are going to write out our scripture, which is Jeremiah 1:5, "For I knew you before I formed you in your mother's womb." Yes, God is talking about you. So let's go ahead and write on our canvas. And after you've finished your scripture, you will turn it around and it will look something like this. See you soon, boys and girls, on Destiny Kids.